Let me check my pulse. It says I'm live. I don't know. Forget about it. I got so many health problems. I need to double check on that. Am I coming up live?
Yep.
Are we in fact live?
Yep.
I'd like to say thank you to everybody who's tuning in right now to check us out again. I'd like to apologize for not being on for a long time. There's been a lot of personal problems in my family. I've had a lot of health problems, which I'm going to go and elaborate on a little bit. What I'm going to show you guys right here is take a good look at this. This right here is a prayer card for my father, Joey Donovan, who was in the 50s the number 4 lightweight contender in the world. He beat a couple of world champions. And he was one of the founders of IPO and Schutzhund in the United States of America. Him and a handful of fellows that some of whom may still be alive, and I know some are still alive, people like Bill Alexander, Mark Lamer, Shelley Leibowitz, when I think back, and a lot of them who have passed away, right? So he was kind of an icon in the dog game, my dad. And he's really the whole reason why I ever got involved with dogs. I was the firstborn son. And his passing is really monumental, for my family. He was a Korean War veteran. And he spent the last years of his life in the VA hospital with diminished capacity. I mean, he still liked to play some cards and he talked a little bit, but he was a shell of the man I remember growing up. And, old age really is a trip, man, Come here in April, I'm going to be 60 years old, and I'm blown away because I'm suffering from all kinds of old man diseases. Here, look, check out. This is my medicine box, and I'm not even exaggerating, okay? All right? I got everything. My daughter says I'm going to start a rap career. My new name's going to be Big Prostate, okay? I take medications for diabetes, for mental health, to sleep, to get up, to get an erection, to get everything. It's all in this box right here. Okay? I got everything except a death pill because I don't want to kill myself quite yet. This makes me think also about as I come to the later part of my life, and I'm reminded of our mortality, in this plane anyway. I'm convinced that there are multiple dimensions, and actually science now corresponds with that thinking. Quantum physics now has identified, I think, at least 14 what's the right word? No, 14 dimensions concurrent that are happening at the same time, not one after another, at the same time. Okay? So which means there are absolutely other planes of existence. What they're like, I don't think we can really say for sure. We have hints in religious documents and stuff like that. People have had insights, psychics, near-death experiences, right? That may give us a clue about these things. But I feel fairly certain that life is eternal. I really do. And it's with that hope that I say goodbye to my father and I tell him I'm going to meet him again on the other side, And as I look at my big box over here, Big Prostate now, okay, for any of you people, younger guys that don't know what enlarged prostate is, I'm telling you right now, do everything you can, research about it, do the correct diet, exercise, live a good lifestyle, because you do not want to suffer this. This is so unbelievable. You're up all night, every 20 minutes, trying to take a piss, and it's like impossible. Nothing comes out, or a couple of drops comes out, and you literally go insane because you can't sleep. And I don't know what it is that makes it that this only happens at night. I mean, I've had a problem with urinating often, and which I always thought was part of my diabetes, but I could go to the bathroom. I just had to go a lot. I'd pull over here, I'd pull over there, more than most people. But all of a sudden, I get up in the middle of the night every half hour with this powerful urge to urinate, and I just can't urinate. I mean, can you imagine anything that makes you more crazy than this? It's driving me nuts. So I'm on medications right now to try to control the symptoms, but it's not really doing much. Believe it or not, what will work is if I get up at 1:30 in the morning, let's say, and make 3 large cups of coffee and drink them, they act as a diuretic, but I'm wide awake now. And then I can take a leak. It's really crazy. It's so insane. It is like one of the worst things you could possibly imagine. And ultimately, it usually ends in surgical removal, or at least partial removal of the prostate, which is no fun because it can end your sex life. Okay? These are old man things. And I didn't expect to ever be facing any of these kind of situations in my life. So I have to count my blessings, though. I'm alive today. I'm not on the other side with my dad yet, but I will be. And that leads me into where the Donovan Pinscher is today. Oh, for a little while, the Donovan Pinscher was on life support. I was really unsure of what the direction would be. I needed some key people to step up. With all these family and personal issues going on with me, I couldn't afford to really hold too many dogs anymore. And lucky for me, a couple of really well-educated and highly motivated people stepped up. I want to thank Joe Black and Steve G, because you guys really, really are keeping this thing happening. And you're following my directions, and you also understand the schematics of how to manipulate a gene pool. You understand the concept of a controlled evolution and how this works. And I want to thank you guys personally. So now I'd like to get on to the idea of where the breed is today, right? We have a handful of outstanding dogs. What we've been working on for the last few months, almost a year now, is trying to build a stable of females, line-bred females, that we can now use on our 3 or 4 best stud dogs that are remaining. I have some dogs in my immediate orbit. Steve G now has the dog that I was holding, Vinny, who I think is probably a very good bet, because he's heavily line bred on Duke, who was probably the best Farnsworth son ever, even though there's only a handful of them, so it's not much to compare him to. But he was a super outstanding dog. He comes down through Survivor, one of the best producing females of all time. Heavily line bred to Sparky. All the key animals are in there. He's got the brains of Speedy, who also carries there in the blood. And he's just an outstanding specimen. We just now did a breeding of the last Norton daughter that we have access to directly to Vinny. So it will be Vinny's first breeding, but it will be Bronco, who's the Norton daughter, it will be her second breeding. I have to say, we bred Bronco to Dante, which was a Norton granddaughter bred back to, a Dante granddaughter bred back to Dante, representing a 1-3 breeding on Dante. And this is what I consider definitely Dante's best son, Norton. So it's a daughter from Dante's best son bred back to Dante. There's, I think, 6 surviving females in the litter. Unfortunately, we didn't get any males. There's not a dud. All 6 puppies are very solid. And they're going on 7 months now, so I'm starting to be able to really get an eye for what they are. The fact that there's not even a single dud, the fact that they're intensely line bred, this is the stable of females that are now building up in order to cross primarily onto Vinny. But then in Florida, we have Joe Black with a whole other project with one of the last living direct Sparky sons, Sparky cross Speedy, who's a hell of a monster of a dog, a super intense, very terrier type dog, Dom. I don't know if he's named after me because I didn't name him that, but I'm going to assume. But Dom is super, super intense. We've only bred him once. We could tell he produced his butt off, so to speak. And we have some plans now. We've done some inbreedings, and we are creating females especially for him. We also are going to be closely examining his son, Dom's son, Chico, who's like a 90-pound, 95-pound terrorist he appears to be, but he has not been evaluated by me personally. I believe Steve G is going to be picking him up soon, so we will have him in our hands and we can run some more detailed tests and give everybody feedback. But I have a feeling based on the blood and just the superficial description that Joe's given us about the dog.
The sister that we all...
And the sister, the two sisters that I've seen, I have a feeling this is he's going to be a little bit of a hidden gem, you know? So this is where we are. We're in a period of reconstruction, right? And this takes longer. I really wish more people who had key animals would have volunteered, would have went out of their way to step up and make sure to help us prevent a mass extinction of the breed. A few did, many didn't. Most didn't. Most didn't. You know, one dog that I haven't mentioned who hasn't been used yet because he's a good distance away from us is Brandon Hurley's dog in Canada. He has probably the last living Duke son, Venom. And I've seen some clips, and I know the dog got a PDC, which I witnessed myself on tape. Knowing the genes, listening to the description of the dog, I think this is a solid dog. There's also a couple dogs up in Buffalo, New York with Chris James. Chris James also has an Opie son and a son from Werlock. The Opie son also has a son from his dog Werlock up there, who I would like to personally see to make a judgment about where we head from here with the breedings. But what we're kind of doing, we do have the most proven Donovan female is this dog Bronco now. And we just bred her. We bred her once to Dante, and currently she's bred to Vinny, which I have very high hopes of, especially after watching the results of the breeding to Dante. And these Dante daughters, I'm now waiting to get old enough. We have 5 or 6 available. I'm waiting for them to get old enough to be utilized in the breeding program. So there is a stall here. This doesn't happen overnight. We lost probably 90% of the key dogs to the breed when I went away. And the people I entrusted the dogs with either stole the dogs, withheld the dogs, had the dogs damaged, injured, killed, whatever variety of things happened. You know, there's an old saying, if you want something done right, you do it yourself, right? You know, life's hard. Life's hard. It certainly hasn't gone the way I planned. I never thought I was going to get older. I never thought I was going to face the difficulties I faced. It's hard not to be, it's a challenge not to become resentful, to become bitter, to get to a place where I say, okay, listen, all these bad things happened, but I have to put them behind me, and I have to move forward from here. And you know, this is not just about the Donovan Pinscher program. This applies to everyday life for all of us. You know, I've seen in the last couple of years friends suffer unbearable injuries, become paralyzed, become permanently ill. You know, these are the kind of things when you're young you usually don't see. But I'm getting to this age now where I'm watching people I've known for 30, 40 years, you know, land in a wheelchair, be on kidney dialysis, you know, these kind of things that when you're young just don't even cross your mind, you know. And
you've been fighting from the beginning though with this thing.
You know, yeah, I've been fighting with the Donovan Pinscher. Yeah, Jen, thanks for bringing it up. The war that I had on the internet when I initially came out with the idea of the Donovan Pinscher, and I said, well, I'm going to cross a bulldog, a terrier, and a herder. Everybody said I was a lunatic, I'm a moron, I'm reinventing the wheel, the dogs are all going to be crap. Who do you think you are? I mean, actually, to be really honest with you, I think the controversy of it eventually is what landed me in trouble. It wasn't really anything I did. It was just that this thing was so publicized and it was so hated on that there was so much rumor flying around about it that it just seemed outrageous at the time. Everybody thought it's an outrage. It's a super mutt. These are the things people would say. And I was really shocked by this because I thought, I thought everybody was going to love the idea. I said, I'm trying to make an enhanced police dog, an American super police dog. Like, why is this controversial? Which is interesting because, 20 years later, everywhere I look now, I see people doing bull and herder breedings. I mean, and I don't feel bad about that. I was hoping, actually, when I first started it, I wanted other people to become involved in it. And I wanted us to have an open registry. And the only reason that this is all separated and that anybody's bull herder program isn't eligible for breeding into our registry is because people have been so dishonest. They were so deceptive. They'd steal 20 years of work and then lie and say it was something else, like they made it in their garage. And that's really why the registry became closed. My idea about it was that initially that the Donovan Pinscher registry was going to be open to all bull and herder types. And that we could develop different subsets and different cousin lines and basically support each other with this. That's what I really thought, honestly.
But they love the bull herder.
But what's interesting is that the bull herder idea now seems to be completely acceptable. When I did it, I was a lunatic. And I'm not going to say like I take the credit for it, but I did take the initial blows of this. I created this concept here in the United States. I put it out there. For better or worse, there was some unbelievable dogs. There were some mediocre dogs. I produced a lot of dogs, and I was trying to learn how to be a breeder. And I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. If I knew now what I knew then, I would have perfected the dog in a much shorter period of time. And there was a lot of animals that I wouldn't have let out of my hands. But experience is the best teacher, The hard part about life is that by the time you learn everything that you need to know, a lot of times you don't have the same motivation level as you did while you were learning it. That's the problem. By the time you master something, now you have to almost force yourself to finish it because it takes so much motivation as you get older. To try to have the enthusiasm at 60 years old that I had at 25 years old is quite a feat, okay? And I really can't do it consistently. That's why it's important for me to have younger people like Steve G stepping in now. I need a new generation of younger people. I was hoping Ivory would be one of these people. He had so much motivation and actually had some ability and talent, but I had such a difficulty communicating with him, and I really had a hard time teaching him anything. So eventually he turned on me, and I'm sure he has in his mind, he has just reasons. But a lot of great dogs were lost to Ivory. I entrusted him with the large bulk of the problem. Yeah, Jen said karma sucks because most of all the great ones died. Yeah, but it sucks for me. That's the problem. The karma sucks for me because ultimately I'm the artist. See, I was going to bring this up too. See, for me, breeding dogs, it's not a business. It's an art. To me, this is a work of art. Just the way a sculptor works with clay, a painter works with paint, a musician does music. My art is behavior. And there's two parts to that. There's genetically engineering the behavior through controlled evolution. And then there's the molding the behavior of the individual. So when I started doing this, I looked at it like, okay, not only am I going to train the best football team in the world, I'm going to make my own players. This is kind of like where I was at. So I saw myself sort of, I don't even think I saw myself this way, but it was kind of like an extreme view of like eugenics and like military mind control. So like I wanted to master these two functions and fuse them together into like the ultimate machine of a dog trained to like the ultimate maximum level that could be done. And I do feel that I came very, very close to that on many occasions. But it was a more difficult project than I understood. I had no idea how much resistance from the public, from law enforcement, and even from fellow dog enthusiasts. I had no idea the hatred, the animosity, the resistance. I really thought everybody was going to think like I did, that it was the coolest thing in the world that I was trying to do. That this is, wow, this is so cool. But they were like, off with his head. I was really actually blindsided by that. I never really saw that coming.
Steve is going to talk about.
So, I know that in a couple minutes we're going to bring Steve G on here because he's housing a good chunk of the most important dogs and the dogs which are currently being bred and are soon to be bred. Lucky for me, Steve lives, I'm going to say, in an undisclosed location. You can no longer tell anybody where you are with this game if you're sitting on more than 2 or 3 dogs.
Another dog guy just got arrested.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we know another dog guy that we know for, 40 years in New Jersey and who was an animal control officer, just got arrested on animal cruelty charges. He's probably going to jail. I don't know the details of the case, but he dealt with the police. He sold police dogs for decades, and he was the county animal control officer. And he's on the news with felony animal cruelty charges. So there's nowhere to hide with this. You need to be out in the open with certain things, and then other things you really have to be quiet, and you got to be deep in the woods somewhere. Otherwise, the neighbors, everybody's a problem, and people will get you in trouble over nothing. They don't necessarily, the general public does not have the same view of this as a dog trainer or a dog breeder. They have a very different view of this, and it's become more and more dangerous. You could actually get more time in many states, in some states, particularly like Massachusetts, for kicking the cat, okay, than having sex with a baby. No joke. Dead serious. You get more time for kicking a cat than raping a kid in the state of Massachusetts. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
Is there a request there for Steve to join?
Do I see a request? I don't see anything yet. I got some waves here. People are waving at me. I'm waving back. I'm very internet
There should be a request from Steve.
illiterate. Do I see view request? Yeah, I see view request. Okay, so hold on. Right here?
Yeah, accept.
Wait, I don't. That didn't happen. Wait, is that? I see something. Is that Steve G?
Yo,
What happened? What happened, Steve? I remember.
I don't
when you were
know.
gorgeous. I remember when you
What's
were
that?
young and gorgeous.
I got old.
You got old. You seen Big Prostate's box, right? You seen that, right, brother? This is what you got coming. Don't worry.
Jenny's got to massage that thing for you.
I got some extra ED pills for you, bro. Some state of the art. These are like straight from Mars.
Oh,
You
shit.
could get a Martian pregnant with this stuff. So tell me now, tell us, how's your experience with Vinny now that I gave you my dog?
Vinny's doing great, man. I mean, the dog has a super high pack instinct, which has made the transition go very well. I mean, the dog's a straight predator. He's dangerous in a lot of ways. But what I'm finding with him is he's become one of the most enjoyable dogs I've had for obedience training. Like, he's really motivated. His drive is intense. His pack instinct helps, which is what I was lacking with my last German Shepherd.
Very versatile.
Yes. And, you know, like, I just gave up a very quality bred German Shepherd to take this dog as my next competition dog, because he lacked the pack instinct that I was looking for out of a dog. You know, and let's not to mention the power of Vinny.
Well,
you know,
when you bred a lot of German Shepherds, like I have as well, and now you've had quite a few years now dealing with German Shepherds, you know that the Donovan Pinscher in general has a much higher, more legitimate bonding instinct than a German Shepherd.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a dog like this since Tweak.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
When
right.
When did Tweak die? When did your other Donovan Pinscher Tweak die?
2019.
Okay, and she was how old?
14.
Okay, so there you go. So you're saying in all that period of time and all these high quality, highly professionally bred German Shepherds, you never see this level of interaction.
I've been really bored with it, Dom. And you know this. We've talked about this. I was getting to a point where, like, you and I have discussed this many times, that, like, taking on a dog like a German Shepherd or a Malinois or the Dutchie, it's like dog sports in a box. You pull the dog out, you get a ball, a little prong, and they're foosing. You know what I mean? Where these dogs are, a dog like Vinny has so much natural talent that, you know, and you have to be careful with this dog because he's powerful. You know, one miss of the ball and that's your ass. You know, but so it makes you have to become very creative in training the dog, because the brain is so much higher thinking. It's not like a dog you just take out and they're like ball. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, okay, this dog's actually thinking and processing and paying attention. That as much as I'm showing him, he's learning from me. You know, with things, and you lack that with a lot of your herding dogs.
Let me interject here for a second. When I was building the dog, what I was originally a German Shepherd breeder, and then a Malinois Shepherd breeder, and then eventually the Donovan. And one of the things I didn't like about the herding dogs coming out of Europe was, for lack of a more scientific way to put it, they couldn't like walk and chew gum at the same time. The dog couldn't be thinking about multiple things at the same time.
100%.
They get locked. The thing that I tried to achieve with the Donovan was a dog that would be doing one behavior for 3 different reasons all at the same time.
Right.
And I think that Vinny epitomizes that. You know, the food, the ball, the interaction, the play, the joy just of being with you. Like, all of these things are happening at the same time, which I think makes it a more complex dog, and a more versatile. Does this make sense?
Yeah, 100%. You can see it, especially more so in a dog like Vinny than my dog Tweak even. You know, we talk about a lot of drives, and everybody wants to solidify it down to one thing a lot of times, but like, you can incite a German Shepherd's prey instinct for the ball, but that's where his mind remains. A dog like Vinny, yes, he wants the ball, but he also enjoys the relationship with me. And like, a lot of this goes back to things I learned from you. I'm training the dog in a heightened state of drive to where he's almost uncontrollable, but he's under control, and you almost can't do that with a dog like a German Shepherd. You almost can't do that with a dog like a Malinois, where a dog like Vinny, he could be on a verge of like, if I do the wrong thing, this motherfucker's gonna attack me. But his pack instinct is so high that
he does.
It levels it out to where he's more enjoying this relationship and training. Yes, the prey instinct's there for the ball. Obviously, it's moving fast and he wants to bite it. But it makes the whole training, again, like I said, it makes it more like a thinking process to train this dog than just, oh, I'm going to go out, walk up and down the field and foos and sit and plots and here's your ball. Yeah. Like, I've had to become very creative with this dog. And that's what was missing in the training aspect of all these German Shepherds I've trained over the last several years. It just became like a routine.
I hear that you're supposed to be doing the decoy work at some big trial. Is this true?
Yeah,
Or just a
yeah. I'm going to be doing decoy selection for a national IPO trial here soon. So we'll see if I make the cut.
the bullshit internet rumor, you know?
What's that?
I thought it was just another bullshit internet rumor.
I got enough of those about me.
I'm sure you do. You're talking to the king.
Oh, yeah. I'm following. Dom, I didn't know I was going to follow in your footsteps with everything I've followed in all these years.
Who knew after all those years you were going to be back in my life?
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it. You know, you've been one of my best friends in dogs, one of the most loyal people I've ever met. You know, a lot of people may seem to forget this, but we lived together. We almost had a television show together. We had a training business together. We ran a club together for several years. Me, you, Ginny, and Madison. You know, and sometimes Big Pat and Gary. You know, but you know, it's been a nice experience because I was at a point where like I was so burnt out between the things that happened with my former associate that have created problems in my life, the monotony of training dogs and Schutzen trials and dealing with people and things. And then like, you know, you called me and said, hey, I need you to take these puppies from Florida and hold them for me. And, you know, thank God for Joe Black for doing that breeding because here we are. Yep. You know, we've stepped into a position where like we're back in each other's life, their support. I think even me being back in this has put a fire in you again, you know, and Sean.
For the next couple minutes, I'd like you to focus before we get off air. Focus on talking about the breeding that we have done and the next couple that are planned.
Yeah, you know, it's so funny. Like, I just got a call while I was training dogs with such a rave review for the second day in a row now on the Hagrid puppy that's with his new owner. I will wait for her to announce that because she wants it to be a surprise. But it's like I'm getting such a rave review from a very highly skilled dog trainer who's been around these dogs before and worked with one of the best in the business that you and I both respect as a trainer. You know, the puppy that I have from Bronco and Dante, like, is pretty much her mother, but a little improved, you know, and I'm excited to see her grow and see what she does with Vinny. The Dante Bronco or the Vinny Bronco litter, I'm most excited about. I mean, like, I've had an opportunity to live with Bronco for a while now, you know, she took a chunk out of my leg, but the dog's nerve is just so solid. And even I think a lot of why I enjoy Bronco is there's a lot of glimpses of my dog Tweak in that dog, and dogs like Dude, you know, in that dog, and these dogs all come off of Hua. Dante was a Hua son, you know, so was Tweak, so was Dude, you know, Farnsworth, his father. And
let me cut in for a second. I remember you pointing out to me, you know, you disappeared out of the scene, and when you came back and seen what I had done with the dogs, you had remarked like, wow, like you had improved a lot, that I had improved a lot of the flaws that we originally were working on.
Right. Because, you know, as great of a dog Tweak was, we knew what Tweak had little soft spots and downfalls on. And, you know, a lot of these dogs did. And like when I kind of stepped away and took a break and we kind of took a break from life, I mean, we were still friends, but we took a break from each other and moved on to different things. And, you know, I had left when Farnsworth was young. You know, I did most of his helper work till he was what, probably 7 months old, something like that.
Months,
you know,
yeah.
And I could see it then. You know, I never forget when we did the Russian television show and they were pulling your pants down in the city. You know what I mean? That litter, and like it was so. But I saw that, you know what I'm saying? And then like you and I speak about this a lot. Like the litter was Sparky and Nico. How insane that litter was. You know, we never seen anything like it. I'm not going to get into the details of them, but never seen anything like that. And then like I come back into it and I see that like, man, if I would have got Bronco at 6 months old, you know what I mean? It's like an improved version of my dog that I had in a lot of ways, but there's still a lot of similarities. And like, you know yourself from training with us, I've never been big on a male dog.
Mm-hmm.
But like Vinny is such a, like I said, Vinny's the things we've talked about with Vinny. I can picture these puppies between him and Bronco right now. And I have a very good feeling.
Do you
I have
have a feeling that she's
I would say so. I would say so. I'm going to do the ultrasound next week and confirm. But she's getting bigger. Her nipples are starting to go. She's starting to show signs. You know what I mean? From being around pregnant dogs and knowing Bronco, I would assume the rib cage is starting to expand a little. You know what I mean? She's 3 weeks now, a little over 3 weeks now.
And when do you expect to get your hands on the Chico dog?
We got to work out some things because the Chico and Halia puppy that I have now, Mushroom, she's going to be going down to Joe Black, as well as one of the sisters, Crazier Tails, to be bred to Dom. And then he'll come up. And then I know that Sean and I had spoke about me doing some foundation, figuring him out, seeing how he is, and then maybe turning him into a project for you guys. But I think it's going to be sometime in the next week or so. We're going to be making the arrangements to move these dogs back and forth between Joseph and myself.
It sounds awesome. We got some good things happening.
I feel there's a lot of good dogs. I feel it's going to take some process to get some of these dogs, but there's hope. There's hope for the future.
You know what? I want to thank Troy, Vinny's original owner, for helping us out here and returning the dog to me. She went through some personal issues. She did what I consider really the right thing. She gave the dog to a friend of mine who owned a kennel at the time, and I wasn't able to own dogs yet, and he held the dog for me to a period where I could get the dog. If more people would have made those kind of generous moves, like to give me back my own stock to help us rebuild the breed, we wouldn't be as limited as we are in top stud dog.
100%. And I mean, Troy's been wonderful. Her and I communicate almost on a like every other day basis. She checks in on Vinny. I send her updates. We discuss things. She gives me a little bit of the history. And, you know, I think a big moving forward, talking about some of these females that we have, is like we recently just acquired Vinny's sister.
Mm-hmm.
And that cuts out a few steps for us, you know?
Yes, it does. It lets us.
And then, you know, there's plans for the future to take Vinny back to his aunt, Kiwi, that Mitch Fletcher has. You know, and I think these are going to be some key breedings to really bring it back and make it click. And I can almost picture. What's that?
Some of these dogs are young. We got to get moving on.
Yep. Well, that's the plan. You know, this fall is going to be a big breeding season for these dogs. Between Vinny's sister, Kiwi, Crazy, Tails, you know, you have Halia that's going to be getting bred. So there's going to be a lot coming up. You know, Athena, one of my favorite bitches.
If anybody's out there now and they're interested in getting puppies, reach out to me, Steve, or Jen. We're the ones you really should be making the contact to, because we'll make sure you know what you're asking for.
Yeah, you know, and I will tell you, you saw the video. You know, I took Vinny out to Maryland with me when I met Mitch Fletcher to, you know, pick up Vinny's sister that he held for us, and Crazy that I picked up. And I had the dog around multiple guys that are multiple world team competitors, multiple national winners, multiple breeder, handler, owner trained winners at national championships. And they were all, the consensus of it was like, wow, the Donovan's back. Look at this dog. You know, there was no, oh my God, a Donovan, none of that shit we used to hear before. It was like, and you know, Dominic, yourself, these are guys that respect you and you're friends with. Ron Marshall, Chico, Butch, all of these guys. And just, you know, the rave reviews over this dog, you know. But these are also guys that like a dog that's a tough dog, not just a Schutzen dog. So, you know, there's been things that have seen it, and I've already got people from that club. I have 3 people from that club blowing my phone up every day. Is she pregnant? Do you know? Have you done the ultrasound? I want a puppy. I want a puppy.
Well,
you know,
That's all good news. This is all
Yeah,
good news, Steve.
I feel if we can get these dogs into the right hands, right now we've got an opportunity to prove, and take it out and prove what we're doing with Vinny. Hopefully Chico pans out and you and Sean can put him together. Maybe another Dante project for you.
You know what? We'll see how it goes. This is what I think. I think we're about at that point where we should wrap it up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. It's good. I don't want it to try to hold people's attention for too long. I think this is great.
Right.
I hope we make this a regular thing from now on. We try to get back onto this Instagram live, but I think overall this felt successful to me.
No, yeah. One
Thank
more
you.
thing I'd like to bring up, because you talked about it in the beginning, was, a lot of people may not realize how instrumental your father was in my education on dog training. I spent a lot of time with Joey, driving him to the hospital, living in your mother's garage, and having conversations with them. There was times where your father was feeling great and him and I would go tracking when you were busy, but really big inspiration. And one of my things, with your father is, like, a lot of people don't realize this, but, like, I had some trainers. Helmet Riser tells me stories. Oh, I came out to do a seminar and Dom's popping out of manhole covers on the track to give the dog a grip at the end, and you know what I mean. So it's like your father was a big influence on me for the time that I got to spend with him, and it was great to know him.
Steve, I really appreciate you bringing that up and giving some homage to my dad. Those are things that would have slipped my mind if you didn't bring it up to me. And all we can do now, bro, is move forward from where we are.
Let's see what happens with Vinny and Bronco at this point.
Listen, I don't know if you'll tune out first and I'll say goodbye. If you want to say goodbye, I'm technologically retarded. So
same
you tell me how.
As I don't even use Instagram, so I'm like looking for what button I push to leave.
So go ahead, you try to figure out what to do.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon.
What's that? Yeah, we're going to start. We'll be here next Thursday at 7. Okay? That's it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up here today. I appreciate everyone who came. I appreciate everybody who sat through the whole 45 minutes. It was great to have Steve on. Like we pointed out, we're sort of technologically retarded, okay? Which means that it's big difficulty for us to manipulate and figure out how to do this. But we're doing the best I can. You want me to do a poem?
You gotta do a poem.
Sporadic visions form a chain of past events engraved by pain. Thus, from my soul, compassion flood, born of life's suffering and blood. Thank you all for being here. Thanks a lot.